fight for Moses Itauma. I just think to throw this kid into the wolves at this stage so early in his career, I just don't get what for. He's a young man, let him develop the same as every other fighter, let him learn his trade.
21 years old. And so Moses has got everything in his favour. Yeah, then people are going to get all getting excited. Put him in with Oleksandr Usyk. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that because Usyk's too smart.
The great man, the great fight. I think Itauma it's future for boxing. I like this guy.
And he called you out?
Huh?
He says he's ready for you now at 20 years old.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Tony Bellew doesn't mince his words when discussing the potential clash between Moses Itauma and Oleksandr Usyk. In Bellew's eyes, Itauma's flashy style might dazzle the crowd, but it won't survive against a technician of Usyk's caliber. Usyk's brilliance isn't rooted in raw power or aggression.
It's styles make fights, and Moses always gonna. Them styles that want to have a fight with you or aren't necessarily very good defensively. He's gonna pick holes in them immediately. You know, there's nobody in the world right now apart from Oleksandr Usyk, Tyson Fury, who he couldn't pick.
It's his technical genius, impeccable footwork, and unmatched ability to adapt that makes him such a nightmare for young fighters like Moses. Bellew warns that talent alone isn't enough in these moments. Without the right seasoning and years of elite-level experience, one wrong step against a master like Usyk could bring everything crashing down in an instant.
Absolutely extraordinary, and for me he ticks all the boxes. I like his attitude, I like his style, southpaw, hard-hitting, moves so well. He's going to be very, very difficult to sort of deter. So it's an interesting one because, yeah, is this too soon for Moses, or is this just the right fight at the...
Adam Smith, known for his sharp and balanced commentary, offers his own detailed break situation. He's quick to acknowledge the immense talent Moses possesses. At just 20 years old, Moses already showcases gifts that set him apart. A sharp southpaw stance, explosive punching power, quick feet, and a natural instinct for distance. His movement is fluid and his composure in the ring is rare for some.
When is he ready? I think he could beat most heavyweights in the world, with the exception possibly of Usyk and maybe Dubois, possibly edging of the top 3 or 4. He's not ready for them yet.
Someone so young. But Smith tempers the hype with reality. Natural gifts, no matter how impressive, are only part of the equation. When facing a technician of Usyk's standing, Usyk thrives on systematically dismantling opponents. He studies patterns, exploits openings, and has a knack for breaking down fighters.
Under Usyk, or is that too soon?
To leave Usyk alone. Usyk's a beast, man. Different beast. Different beast.
Round by round. For Moses, the challenge isn't about matching firepower, it's about timing his rise carefully. Jumping in too early could derail his promising future before it even fully begins. Smith goes even further by making comparisons across the heavyweight landscape. He believes Moses could already handle many mid-tier heavyweights and likely beat them convincingly, but fighters like Usyk are
potentially another rising heavyweight that can dominate a division. Why spoil it? You just think, you know what? Sometimes you've got to lose a battle to win a war. So I'd be a bit smart. And I'm not saying he gets turned over by Usyk because you don't know how good this kid is. What I'm saying is, I just won't do it. It's not a risk because he's the future. Usyk's at the stage where he's probably 1 or 2 fights ready to walk away. Moses is 20 years old, so he's the guy that will actually...
are on another plane entirely. Usyk's ring IQ, footwork, and adaptability don't just put him at the top of the division. They set him apart from nearly everyone. For Moses, this isn't about lacking power or talent. It's about bridging a vast gap in experience and strategy areas where Usyk reigns supreme. Derek Chisora, who has shared the ring with Usyk himself, cuts right to the heart of the matter. For Chisora, Usyk isn't just another champion or another belt holder. He's a breed apart. Chisora praises Usyk's ability to adapt mid-fight, control distance with surgical precision, and technically dismantle even the toughest opponents. For Moses, stepping in now would be like learning to swim in shark-infested waters without knowing how to breathe underwater. Chisora's assessment underscores the gulf in experience and polish between the two fighters. Johnny Nelson also delivers a strong warning about the dangers of rushing Moses into a fight of this magnitude. Nelson
is one of the best young fighters boxing has seen
in years. And I'm not just saying that based on a result over Dillian. I hope you understand that when I look at a fighter, I'm looking at things that others don't see. I'm not looking at the hype. I'm looking at what he does in the ring, how he does it, his skill set. You know, I'm looking at that because that's the important stuff. And right now, to me, he's shown probably a better skill.
Points out that Moses is only 20, a prodigy with speed, power, and undeniable potential. But no fighter can fast-track experience. Nelson makes it clear that Usyk, despite being in the twilight of his career, hasn't lost an ounce of dominance. The smart approach, Nelson argues, is patience. Champions are built step by step. Reckless matchmaking has destroyed too many careers before they had the chance to blossom. Trainer Russ Amber provides one of the most balanced and technical evaluations of Moses yet. Amber praises the young southpaw's skill set, his fast hands, sharp stance, and natural calmness in the ring. For such a young fighter, Moses looks polished, but Amber also cuts deeper, noting that there's a world of difference between looking polished and being able to handle an all-time great like Usyk. Usyk's mastery of distance, angles, and tempo control.
He's a fighter, he's a winner, he's got plenty of ambition, and he truly believes that he can go in there and beat any man in the world right now, and that includes Oleksandr Usyk. Do I personally think it's too soon? Yes, I do. Usyk's he's a different breed, he's a different fighter. Yes, he's getting older.
Makes him nearly impossible to beat unless you fought through the fire of multiple high-level battles at the elite. Now, heat level, every minor weakness gets magnified. Amber stresses that without several more tough fights under his belt, Moses could walk straight into a disaster against Usyk. Timing and preparation, he says, will be the keys to whether Moses fulfills his potential or gets derailed too soon. Dave Caldwell reinforces this theme of balancing ambition with reality. Caldwell admires Moses' confidence, hunger, and willingness to face anyone, including Usyk, but reminds everyone that boxing at this level demands more than just belief. Usyk is still the benchmark at heavyweight. His defensive craft, tactical brilliance, and mid-fight adaptability place him leagues above most challengers. Even at his age, Usyk's dominance hasn't waned. Caldwell warns that rushing Moses into such a fight could expose flaws that only experience can naturally fix. Building carefully, he argues, is not
more experience on his side. Itauma.
That's it. Absolutely.
You know, another 4 or 5 fights down the line, then you're looking at an absolute wrecking ball. Then he would beat everybody put in front of him.
But
nobody's going to. Yeah, nobody's going to.
He said Saturday who's going to give him balance. That's what he was saying. He wanted them out of white.
Nobody beats Usyk right now.
Not weakness. It's wisdom. Greatness doesn't require haste. If Moses wants to topple a generational fighter like Usyk, he must first close the gap between his raw promise and proven championship-level skill. Duke McKenzie also weighs in, emphasizing what he sees as the missing piece in Moses' arsenal: experience. McKenzie praises Moses' raw power, athleticism, and potential to one day dominate the heavyweight division, but stresses that 4 or 5 more fights against top-tier opponents would be the perfect seasoning before challenging someone like Usyk. At this stage, McKenzie insists it's too soon. Usyk's timing, defensive prowess, and adaptability make him nearly unbeatable. McKenzie underlines an important truth. Usyk not only beats fighters physically but also mentally. He forces mistakes, dictates pace, and punishes every. Moses Itauma might one day become a wrecking ball in the heavyweight division, but rushing him into the deep end too soon could do more harm than good. Amir Khan, who knows firsthand the dangers of being pushed into big fights too.
Don't rush him. You want to take it easy. You want to take it slow. Don't rush him. Let him enjoy. He's still 20 years old. Let him get to 22, 23 years old. That's then you start putting him in with the top names in boxing, like the Usyks and like the Wilders or even the Joshuas and the Furies. At the moment, I think you should keep on building him. Let him keep.
Early warns against impatience. At just 20 years old, Itauma has time on his side. Khan's advice is clear: patience, gradual growth, and careful matchmaking. The heavyweight division is unforgiving. Fighters like Usyk, Wilder, Joshua, and Fury punish mistakes with brutal precision. One lapse could undo years of progress. If Itauma is allowed to mature, gain ring IQ, and climb step by step through tougher opposition, his future as a dominant force could be secured. But right now, restraint is the smartest strategy. Gareth A. Davies views the scenario through the lens of timing. Usyk is nearing the twilight of his career, though his dominance is still unquestioned. The window of opportunity for Itauma to meet him is narrow. Davies notes that Usyk may not even want to risk his legacy against an unproven but dangerous young prospect. Still, boxing history.
Moses, if he's 40 already, so maybe the clock is ticking. The clock is clicking, the clock is ticking for Moses to fight Usyk before he's 40. Maybe as well, he won't want to ruin his legacy, but maybe if Turki Al Sheikh wants to see the fight, put up enough money, maybe he will fight him, and maybe the legacy will be ruined. But maybe if he fights him before he's 40.
Shows that financial incentives have a way of making unlikely fights a reality. For Itauma, the chance would be career-defining. For Usyk, the appeal grows smaller with time. As Davies puts it, timing will determine whether this becomes a defining showdown or a missed opportunity. Veteran commentator John Rawling adds the business perspective. In his view, boxing history makes one thing clear: big fights often come down to money. If the financial push is strong enough, Usyk versus Itauma could happen sooner rather than later. But Rawling tempers this with a reality check. Itauma lacks the battle-tested experience to truly belong in such a contest right now. Usyk, on the other hand, has already proven himself against the likes of Anthony Joshua and Derek Chisora. The gulf in maturity, ring IQ, and seasoning is vast. Rawling concludes that money might make the fight happen, but
doesn't it? And come on, I mean, it's going to be vast, isn't it? And you know, if Turkey wants it, if the big noises over here, the big money men are moving towards that, then they'll be pushing for that. But at the moment, he needs rounds, and who are you going to put him in again?
Competitiveness is another matter entirely. Promoter Frank Warren, who represents Itauma, acknowledges the dilemma of matchmaking strategy. He admits that Usyk is considering his next move carefully, and Moses is part of those conversations. Every choice Usyk makes at this stage carries legacy implications. A fight against Itauma could enhance his greatness or backfire if the young challenger pulls off an upset. Warren understands the promotional value of anticipation. Whether the next move involves Joshua, Fury, Dubois, or Itauma, the key is making the right fight at the right time. For Itauma, it remains a waiting game. Until he proves himself further, the decision rests in Usyk's hands and Warren's matchmaking vision. Sergey Lapin, Usyk's manager, delivers perhaps the most candid assessment. He praises Itauma's recent win over Dillian and acknowledges the natural talent on display, but insists the young fighter is not yet ready for Usyk. Lapin explains that Usyk's style, precision, angles, and defensive...
the route you go.
There's some good fights to be made. That's a consideration. We'll look at it.
Usyk next.
We're going to sit down. We're not making any decisions tonight.
Brilliance is specifically built to dismantle opponents who rely on raw power and youth. The risks for Itauma, he warns, are enormous. A premature leap could lead to a devastating setback. From Team Usyk's perspective, the fight only makes sense if Itauma first proves himself against tougher competition and if the business side aligns. Lapin's words reinforce one truth: Usyk still sits at the pinnacle, and climbing to that level requires a steep, unforgiving road. The heavyweight division today stands at the brink of a generational shift. On one side is Oleksandr Usyk, a proven master and one of the greatest technicians of his era. On the other is Moses Itauma, a 20-year-old prodigy bursting with raw power, athleticism, and ambition. The question is not whether Itauma has the potential. It is whether now is the right time to throw him into the fire against a craftsman like Usyk. Rushing could ruin him.
Turkey is good man. This organize more big fighter, more big event, and we see what we do, what next step, and we see what proposition with.
Waiting too long could mean missing the chance. Fans remain split, analysts continue to debate, and promoters calculate every angle. If Usyk versus Itauma does materialize, it won't just be another fight, it will be a defining chapter in heavyweight history. The question lingers: will Usyk's brilliance keep him untouchable, or could Moses Itauma defy the odds and announce the arrival of a new era?